There's no second best. Take all your money and buy Bitcoin.
You can wake up every morning and say GM.
GM. Today is Thursday? The 10th of October. Let's get a Choptober update. So, this was October's open. Started off on the 1st with a move up and then a strong dump. Spent the next 5 or 6 days filling in, bouncing up, taking out the 1st of October highs, rejecting back below the monthly open again, then having a bearish consolidation day followed by another impulse lower, and that's where we're at right now. So, like I mentioned in trading analysis over here, something along the lines of this is what I'll be looking at next. If we can take out these lows and then reclaim the 200 EMA on the daily, I'd be interested in Bitcoin moving back towards those highs to continue a choppy upwards move. All of this is still moving upwards, since the 4th of August. And since that low, we moved up, made a high, made a higher low, made a higher high, in the process of grinding higher. So it's not a trending move, but it could well be slow upwards accumulation. Invalidating that would be really a significant move below 57.8 or 57.5, 58k, around that area. At that point, you're looking at probably many, many more weeks of weakness. Anything around here is fine. 60k holding is fine. We have the volume profile, which is right around that level. It's actually a bit lower now for the entire move from the top to where we are today. It's at around 59. And this obviously matters most as it develops where we're moving. So for BTC, I see it as much the same as it has been. For ETH, not much going on here. ETH just doing ETH things, just grinding sideways in a bearish structure. Solana, same thing. The biggest concern with coins like this would be when you're looking at the 200-day is that they are consolidating in a range where they are making lower highs and failing to bounce and tapping support many times and trading below the 200. So the longer that goes on, the riskier it becomes, of course. You've seen some altcoins rally, mostly memes. And so the question is, what happens next? I think that too much was made of the Fed rate cut and the China stimulus in the short term. And the markets rallied off the back of that in anticipation of more. And then they've kind of stalled out because either, if this is accumulation, let's say for BTC, if this is accumulation for BTC, then it's just not complete yet. There's more time needed as BTC has to, firmly reestablish an upwards move, which again, if you're looking there at the 200-day moving average, BTC is also below it, has spent the majority of the summer below, not above it. And until that flips, there's no higher time frame bullish signals. I would say that the memes that are pumping at the moment will probably be at or near top soon and have a significant pullback, as it just typically isn't a good thing to see altcoins running and pumping hard and randomly whenever BTC is in a bearish structure, and lower time frame it is bearish. None of the majors are moving. You can see ETH is dead, Solana is relatively dead. The only memes that are really moving are memes on Solana, mostly just the stuff like Giga and Sigma and the stuff I've been mentioning over the past few days. A couple of things with that. the more these coins pump, while Solana doesn't move, the more likely they are to actually top out, because there's two ways to view your profits. You have your profits in USD terms. You also have your profits in coin terms. So your profits in Solana or Ethereum, as it used to be, but really it's Solana now. So let's say a coin has gone, I don't know. If you put one Sol into Giga a week or two ago, and it's gone 10x, one Sol is about $140. So your dollar value of your bag is now $1,400 if it's gone 10x from entry price. But the Sol value of your bag is 10 Sol, because Sol hasn't moved while the meme coin has pumped. Assuming that Solana goes higher later in the cycle, the incentive to swap back into Sol is much, much greater when Sol is not performing. That's why the underlying asset rising is usually a requirement for an on-chain trend. So you have to understand that if Sol doesn't move, if ETH doesn't move, these memes will have limited future or limited potential upside from here, because anybody in profits would be stupid not to consider swapping that back into the base asset and holding more of it, because if Solana then doubles, your holdings will also double. If you have 1 Sol to 10 Sol, all just from the meme coin pump, not from the no USD value increase from Solana itself, and you just swap that volatile meme back into Sol and just chill, that Sol price could double. So you could end up with a total 20x. You have to understand this dynamic is very real, and the big players, the whales, the insiders, they think in terms of the coin. They don't think in terms of the USD if it's in a bull market. The game is to accumulate more Bitcoin. The game is to accumulate more Ethereum. The game is to accumulate, in this case, more Sol. This is how NFTs worked. People created completely worthless JPEGs, marketed them well, got people to hand over their hard-earned Ethereum for some trash piece of shit fucking picture on a blockchain, which eventually went to zero, and they got literal free Ethereum, just mountains of free Ethereum. So the same thing's happening now. You have to ask yourself, okay, if my shitcoin has gone 10x while Sol hasn't moved, what's the most likely next path? I could either hold on to this shitcoin for another 2x, so let's say it's gone from 10 mil market cap to 100 mil. You could continue holding this thing that's already massively up and probably massively overbought to try and get another 2x out of it. Or you could swap it all back into Sol and just wait 6 months, and Sol will probably 2x with much lower volatility, much lower risk, and a much higher probability. Also, it's not just about the future return potentials. It's that meme coin, if and when, really when it goes down proper, it's going to zero. Solana's not going to zero. Right? Solana might not perform as well as you might hope, but it's certainly not going to zero. So I don't think that there is a great meme coin trend to be had across the bigger Ethereum and Solana based coins until you see both of those assets actually doing well themselves. There has to be some kind of wealth effect. This is why WIF is not outperforming. This is why Pepe is not outperforming. This is why the lower cap stuff is, because people want to chase something, and the lower cap stuff requires less capital to move, but it's a big game of PvP. It's a limited amount of capital chasing, pumps in these very low liquidity altcoins, meme coins. It's also why you're not seeing any alts really running, because there's no general wealth effect. Bitcoin is not rising, Solana is not rising, ETH's not rising. So nobody who's long the majors is making any money. Nobody who's holding the majors for the past few months is making any money. If anything, they're down. So they don't have profits to take to rotate into memes. Memes are not going to lead this cycle. It's just not going to happen. You can say, oh, well, memes are leading. Not really. You're mistaking a small handful of coins pumping for some kind of new trend. That's not the case. there's literally like a sector within one of the meme categories that's doing quite well. And a couple of cat coins here and there. And dog coins. That's fine. That's all well and good. But this is very, very, very much not a trend. This is not a lasting trend. This is not sustainable. There's no way it's sustainable without the base assets appreciating. And that's not a bad thing. Assuming that we do get, the base assets rising later on, that's when you'll see more of a broad move. My view on this is as soon as Solana starts to outperform, that is the time that these current crop of memes will top out, most likely. Because the first part of Solana outperformance is probably going to be the profit taking out of these other memes back into Sol, because that's how it works. You have to sell Giga, you have to sell Sigma, Chud, whatever. You have to sell those coins to get into Sol. And that will bolster the Sol price. And if Sol starts to rise, then you're going to see the opposite occurring, where your base coin, Solana, is rising. And because your other memes are up 10, 20, 50x, they have only one way to go, and that's down. It doesn't take much for them to drop 40%. They can do that in a single day. And if Sol goes up 5% and the meme drops 40%, that differential becomes massive. Because in Sol terms, you've just given away so much of your profits. And it's not just in Sol terms for today. The whole point of viewing things in the base asset, in Sol terms, you've given away money in the future. So if you put 1 Sol into Giga and it goes 10x, you now have the equivalent of 10 Sol, right? If nothing else happens, you would have 10 Sol. If you don't sell and Giga drops 50%, you now have 5 Sol. But if Sol then goes up 20% in the same time as profit taking happens and Sol has a rally, you're down even more in Sol terms because the Solana price has risen. Your Giga might be worth 1,400 at 10x. That's 10x of a $140 Sol. It then drops to $700, 50%. So you now have $700 worth of Giga, which at current prices would be worth 5 Sol. But if Sol rallies by 20%, that's like putting Sol up to 170. 170 into 700 is less than 5 Sol. It's about 4. Right? So that's how it works. And you're going to notice a lot of this happening as the rotation comes into effect. The next best thing to rotate into will not be another meme, in my opinion. I think that once these big memes, current big memes, top out and start to consolidate or pull back, I think you want to focus your eyes back towards the majors. And the next time that you're going to see because again, that's a relatively small amount of profit. These coins are not liquid. There is not a lot of money being made on Giga and Sigma and all that, because despite having quite high market caps and good volume, there will always be people making money, but it's not like it's enough money that would be able to be taken out, put into Bitcoin, put into Sol, and cause a new big market rally, right? The market caps and the liquidity required for BTC and Sol are just too large. So most likely what will happen is profit taking across meme coins, then a market-wide pullback. Majors, if we're correct in the idea of a bullish end of the year, majors will then start to run. Those memes will severely underperform, and other memes might start to move, but more likely it's going to be once Bitcoin clears out above that 200-day, it's once it gets above 68, 70, it's once Solana starts to get above 170. That's when you'll start to see proper reallocation into a broader set of the market. This stuff doesn't just go up because it should. I think a lot of ignorant crypto investors, people who just think that this stuff has to go up because that's how it goes. It's not considering literally how markets move. It's supply and demand. So there's no clear source of demand right now. You always see that first in the majors. 100 mil, 50 mil, 20 mil market cap coins pumping is not a sign of demand across the market, especially when it's just concentrated to one or two sectors within memes on one or two chains. There's no broad demand here. It's still very much player versus player. It's still very much the people who are in currently battling the other people who are in currently. And that can continue, and you can see more coins go from 20 mil to 100 mil. And that's super easy to happen. It doesn't require much at all for that to happen. But this is why you always have to keep Bitcoin at the front of your mind. You have to keep the market as a whole at the front of your mind, because that is the true determinant of real demand. When Bitcoin goes to 70 and stays there, that is a massive bullish signal, because the liquidity, the flows, the demand required to move Bitcoin from 60 to 70 and stay there indicates real billions of inflows coming in to the market. That is going to be your next real signal to start looking at the next leg of trends, whether it's Pepe or WIF, right? You can see the Pepes and WIFs, which are multi-billion themselves, require a lot more demand for themselves to go up. That's why they're not leading. There is actually no demand there. Not enough. So enjoy this game while it lasts. This is a relatively short-term thing, in my opinion. This is and if you're not, if you don't have your plans, your systems, your process, you're just going to get eaten up by the insiders who know what I've just said and who are doing this because they understand that they can push around these small caps and trap retail into buying into them, believing that there's some meme coin super cycle coming. It's nonsense. There is no meme coin super cycle unless Bitcoin goes above all-time high, at which point you can see enormous, because a relatively small amount of, let's say Bitcoin and Solana go to all-time high and Ethereum goes back to, maybe not all-time high, but back to 4K. If Bitcoin's at 80, Solana's at 300, and ETH is at 4K, there's cumulatively billions and billions and billions of dollars of profit has been made by traders, investors, funds, whatever, on those majors, that once profit taking happens there, that is an enormous amount of capital that can flow down into the hottest assets, which are memes. That is a later on thing. I don't think that's a thing that's going to be happening until those coins do that. So for me, it's still a game of patience. And that's it. GM. Bit of a different one today because the charts are doing nothing. Like the majors, Bitcoin, ETH, there's nothing happening. If there's a sweep, I'll talk more about it on Trade of the Day. That plan I have for BTC, if it can take out those lows. And also where it's looking at in between now and then. But other than that, that's where we're at. GM. Be quick to take profits if you're trading memes. If you see something going up and breaking structure on low time frames, it's just like any other coin. It's not magic. Momentum's momentum. If you're seeing market structure breaks, if you're seeing the bands getting lost, if you're seeing weakening of momentum on your coins, take profits. There'll always be another entry. You don't want to end up bag holding these things all the way back down, because what goes up must come down, and they will fall as quickly as they've risen, because there's not actually really any demand underneath. GM.